Yes, we're bumping along again. World's fastest bumper car update. Yes, I know that's not going to work. It would give us more room for the motor though. Time to look at these again. Yes, I'm still doing my bicep curls. Need to work out where they're going to fit into the equation. So this was actually the steering rod itself on the kit, the shorter bar, if you like, which we're going to use for the actual track width of the wheels, which coincides perfectly with the chassis rails, as you can see. So those wheel mounts that we made up would sit like that. And again, I'm not sure they're thick enough, but we're going to just do some experimenting. Because what we need to work out is where we're going to mount them on the chassis rail compared to our engine, which is going to be about there as marked, compared to our cutouts, a little cheating device in the C-frame to give us maximum wheelbase and maximum track width. So the further forward we can get them, the better, but still have a decent amount of track width. For the purposes of stability, that's the vehicle's stability. Obviously mine went out the window years ago. So we got to fit this to that. And as it's not load bearing, I think we'll use these rather stubby little 8mm. I mean, obviously it will be load bearing when we do it for real, but for now it's just mucking around. Well, okay, I went for 2. Well, Monkey's not impressed, but I am. We have wheels. So clearly with this particular rod at the back there, we've got a little bit too much toe out, and that's on the extreme adjustment, as you can see. Anyway, what we can see with the wheels here is we got plenty of room on both sides for the turn. So that's good. So we can move them further forward. Let's try that. Right, well, we've moved them 5 inches further forward, and that's a lot of extra wheelbase. And on that track, apart from the breeze block, we've got the turning circle. Just. That's all we need. And honestly, you know, most of the wheel movement is going to be like little do just to keep it straight. It's only going to be at the end when we have to turn it round that we're going to need the full lock, as it were. So that's good news. We can either bring them forward and have that kind of track, or we can take them further back because the motor is not in the way. We know the motor is going to be here. So we can take them further back and have a slightly wider track by 1 inch or so. And that's easy enough with these mounts, because instead of mounting them on the inside, we just flip them and mount them on the outside. So if we want to gain 2 inches of track, that's how we do it. What I am pleased about is that we left ourselves with a fair amount of forward planning or rearward planning or whatever with the scoops for the wheels, because we have scoop scope. Yes, you heard it here first, scoop scope with regards to whether we need wheelbase or track at the front. And I'm thinking we don't need too much track at the front, more than we've got at the back, right? Because that would kind of start to get unstable. Most cars have a slightly smaller track at the front than the back, if anything. Most performance cars. This is not about handling. We're not going to do any cornering at vast speeds. That would probably just end up in disaster. So I'm thinking we just need to keep these kind of in line with the rear axle, which we haven't sorted out yet, obviously. And then, as long as we've got some kind of turning to keep it in line, keep it straight and narrow, we should be okay. 8mm nuts and bolts to match. Right, let's put them up the other side. So, in theory, this front end should stand on its own 2 feet right now. Let's get rid of the breeze block. Well, kind of. We've got some serious negative camber too. Yeah, that's going to be quite a handful at 125 miles an hour. And all that negative camber seems to be in those knuckles. I guess it's the way it's set up for a kart, because obviously you want a lot of negative camber for high-speed cornering. We don't. Obviously, this is all shit that Mr. Furs didn't have to deal with because he had a trike. Mainly because he wasn't going to be driving at 100 miles an hour. It was a stick. Yes, we have a rear axle back from Create Tech. Yeah, don't get too excited. It's still the one that I chopped in half. But it turns out that this tubing that I bought for some nice custom foot pegs on a Honda CB750 is just the right inside diameter for a better kind of mock-up situation. So once we get things situated again, we can work out where this baby's going to go. And this baby too. Yes, we need some brakes. Yes, there's something like that, except there's going to be a lot more messing around before we get to a final solution. We got to work out if the sprocket come in this side or that side. We got to work out whether we can go back a bit. The further back we can go, the better. It looks like we can. Depends whether we need to bring it forward to give ourselves more room for the sprocket. See, it's all kind of interlinked. If you'll excuse the pun, chains have links, right? So we've extended the axle by at least an inch there, as you can see, at the sacrifice of the wheelbase, because we could push it further back if we had it narrower, right? But we're sacrificing wheelbase for track again, but also options on where the sprocket goes, because there's plenty of room there for a motorcycle chain on the outside, if that's where it needs to be, or it can be on the inside, but I think we'd rather have it on the outside. And as we've said before, with oh, that's not an engine, that's an engine. So that is roughly at the same, the sprocket there is roughly at the same position as a chassis rail, so we can go inside or outside just by simply offsetting the motor left or right a little bit, which we can now do thanks to our engine cradle. Where is it? There. Yeah, so we can just wonkify it a little bit. Nothing wrong with a little bit of wonkification. Well, that's about it for this update, but there's exciting stuff to come. Yes. Mr. Snellwelder has been busy. So make sure you tune in next time for that exciting update. We are fitting the engine cradle. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe down there somewhere. And of course, encourage others to watch my lunacy.